So what we do is, so the character is Lola is you have. And I was sitting in bed. Who's my ideal girl? Who's my ideal girl? You have to be the loudest person in the room where everybody looks at you. Even I was in Cali and I told my friend, "Hey, I'm gonna wear a pink shirt." I would always say, "Don't look at Go High Level as your what all these features are. Think about it as going to Home Depot, and Go High Level is just to make the your current business better."
All right, I have got Mitch, and he is a rock star of unprecedented capability, traveling the planet in the search of unknown wealth. Come to him. Uh, I've found, and I think a lot of people have found you interesting as a subject for what I would call a clandestine approach to GHL, which is that you're creating a network of networks of networks. And the reality that we're all facing is how do we grow our businesses without kind of looking at the one to one architecture, which is a lot of what I built my original business on, which is that we bought for each customer one by one. And I think there's a lot more now, especially with the capabilities that have now sort of proliferated with AI. There's a lot more interest in finding. So tell me a little bit about what's going on, and maybe give people a little bit of an idea of what you've been up to last couple of. I would say last couple of weeks. I'm fascinated watching your journey. I think a lot of people have watched your journey because you've become prolific.
Yeah, thank you so much again, Matt. So my name is Mitch Alomar, and so good. If you guys see me on social media, I get about 200 business owners who follow me every single day. I'm trying to increase that to 2,000. But even this morning, I just landed in New Jersey, 7 a.m. I came from California. I'm actually leaving out again in 6 more days, and my I booked 12 events, right? And um, I've always felt uncomfortable to travel, Matt, and I put myself in rooms that, even talking to you, where I can't believe I'm sitting here now with you, where seeing you on stage, but creating so many different events and speaking to different people where you keep on growing, 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 and people tell you the secrets of how to get there. So I just keep on pushing myself to new levels of networking, which has guided me here. And a lot of people I've seen in the last year, I sit in rooms and I don't see them again. They're like, it's not working. So the people I see, some people I see 100 accounts, and somebody, I saw them this year and like yesterday, and I said, how many accounts you have now? 400. People, they just keep on growing and help motivating each other. And I'm sitting in the room with those people. So I'm a traveler, but learning the secret golden gems from other people, Matt. That's why I'm here. That's why I have this stupid pink stuff and logo. And somebody's like, you gotta brand yourself. You gotta put this stuff behind you. And I have a different office, and people guide you in those right directions.
What do you think is the real strategy today? If you were to say, "Hey, I'm coming into the GHL world, and I'm new. I haven't done this before, and I'm sitting there watching this presentation about the best things in sliced bread, which is high levels automation sequences and AI integration and calendaring and all these things, hundreds of different things.
Mhm.
What do you think today is the most important thing for people if they are in, let's just say, supporting a small business or supporting a world of an environment where they're just trying to support helping somebody's business grow? What do you think that there's some characteristics within the framework that really could help somebody?
Matt, I always tend to find somebody who's going to go high level. They're looking at 1,000 different tools, and when I talk to them, I figure out they already have a business already. They're already making money. And like I had just this guy come to my house, and he says, I own a trust business and I protect people's funds. And he's like, I'm like, you're sitting in the wrong room. And
Right.
I'm like, no. He's like, but how do I learn go high level? I said, just turn go high level into protecting those funds. Or if you focusing on churches, you've already been doing what you already need money to buy high level. You just had to turn that skill set into helping out the churches, into somebody putting a QR code and having people scan the QR code for church. I would always say, don't look at Go High Level as your what all these features are. Think about it as going to Home Depot, and Go High Level is just to make the your current business better. I don't know if that makes sense, Matt. It's like everybody's already making money. They always try to shift to what they were how they made money before. That's the common trend I personally see. I don't know how you see it when people starting out, what their success is and how they get started. What advice you give to them, but
Mm,
my advice is just sticking to how you've been making money and just use Go High Level for those tools. Is it a call, call notifications to text somebody back, or to, you know, giving somebody a calculator?
right.
It's simple little tools.
So pre-education, meaning they still have to understand business as well
Yes.
to
Yeah.
some degree, because there has to be some. So we're all calculating in our minds, how do we get to X, right? Or you should be, right? If you're at X, you want to go to Y. And there's certainly pathways to get there that uh, get facilitated easier by using, product like High Level.
Yeah.
Today, with your, this podcast has been it's been separated into a couple of different things, but mainly it's for I would say focusing on how people make money, not
Yeah.
necessarily how how to do the pieces themselves, but really looking at how do you make money today? What's your model? What,
That's a great question, man. So how do I make money today?
yeah.
I charge for paid ads, for Facebook ads, for Google ads. I charge for the management, right? So I'm in New Jersey, and we have multiple gyms, we have multiple med spas, we have multiple clinics. So all I do is just run the paid ads for the gyms to get a guest pass, right? I've, I've been with the gym such a long time that it's so simple. It's just a form and an email, and they love it. I put a QR code, and that's the whole Go High Level of all those locations. It's just that simple thing, because they were using 123 Form Builder, paying $125 a month. So it's the paid ads to get the results of the notifications. So my hurdle in the paid ads is the follow up, and just High Level helps the follow up sequence. So anybody could do paid ads, and everybody says here's a lead. I just make sure the lead gets notified and educated. So simple.
What I think what's interesting about you is as I said from the beginning, you're prolific, right? So if we look at what happens,
Mm,
I would think that just by the fact that you're actively
mm,
pushing native content, and this is something that I specialize in. So we do 1,000 pieces of content a month with our agency, and that helps us become found. But
mm,
you're doing this a little bit different,
mm,
right? I really believe that your content strategy has become something that is remarkable. Tell
mm.
me a little bit about it, because to me, you've become something that absolutely hit my radar screen. And we knew each other before this. It's not like we
Yeah.
this isn't our first time around. I mean, we've spoken. In fact, we were a very near miss
Yes. Yes.
about
Yes.
5 years ago. We
Yeah.
were we were very close, and I think it was not necessarily like it wasn't good, bad, or indifferent when we first originally talked. It was just basically it was a conversation, and we moved into different quadrants. But I
Yeah.
think the other thing that was interesting was that you moved into different quadrants,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Nobody. People sometimes see my Instagram. They're like, "Who are you? This is not the same Mitch I met
Exactly.
a year ago."
So what happened? What is this new revelation that's come across you in this marketing strategy? Because certainly wearing a pink shirt with an AI agent on it and driving a car with a huge QR code. I mean, these are all sort of like, okay.
I put it here.
So I think people are interested. I can guarantee you there are a lot of people, and you've enjoyed the fruits of that labor by putting together some networking events, which have been fun for not only for you but for other people. And now that's related to what we're going to talk about with putting together a more serious, engaged, higher level event. But I think the question mark for me is what changed? Where was the all of a sudden the pink hat?
Yeah. So 6 months ago, I didn't have any content, and I think the first time I've ever, to be honest with you, I started. This is ridiculous. I started therapy,
Ah,
and then the therapist was like, ventilate what you're going through, and then I started to take the camera. I'm actually recording on other thing. Take the camera and start talking to it, and just sharing everybody some pieces of advice, some tips, and man, I really was just posting up tips and I thought nobody was listening. I was getting 1,000 views, 2,000 views. I didn't even think you were listening. I said, nobody's listening. My first aha moment was I was just posting up content and I went to the Saspreneur event and I'm talking to a few people and I see Paulson going through different people and he's like, Mitch. And I'm like it's like in the Matrix, right? Like,
right.
it's not me. And he says, I've been seeing all your content. And I was like, yes, thank you. And it's sometimes you feel like nobody's listening, and then I would have stopped if he would have never said no. I would have stopped if you didn't reach out to me. And some people who just create content, they just stop and they don't keep on going. So
Mm.
I think there is the light behind the tunnel, and sometimes people stop so many times. So
Ah, there's the answer right there, which is that this wasn't actually an overnight put the pink hat on solution. This has been for probably, as you said, like 8 months or something like that.
yeah, 6 months, yeah,
Yeah.
6 months.
So it's actually been a while. And so eventually the success of just, again, I think a little bit of pizzazz with some of the activities that you've been doing, right? So it's not as if you're not driving a Volkswagen Bug with an outdated exhaust on it through the streets of Newark. You're actually driving
I
a
did live in one.
very flashy environment. And so tell me what caused that level, because a lot of people won't do it because they'll feel embarrassed. They'll feel it's not necessary to, draw attention. I mean, this is part of the reason why, you've become a substantial, uh, I would say, engagement process person, which is that you're literally creating people to watch you because people want to know what's going to happen next.
Yeah, everybody's asking me, am I going to Funnel Hacking Live? They're upgrading to VIP to other places because of me. They can't wait to go where I'm going to be sitting at, where I'm going to be at, and it's a beautiful thing to hear that. Um, but the question was like, why am I wearing this QR code? Why did I buy the car, and why did I do all this stuff? You can't become a successful person. You cannot become a speaker or anything if you don't have purpose, right? So for like I'm really doing this because my son was like, Dad, we should get a cyber truck. And I was like, no, no. He was like, well, you can't afford it. I was like, all right, then I need another client. I was like, I need a client that's going to pay for the cyber truck alone. Then I did that. I was like, all right, there we go. Then I was like, what else should I get? And you have to, even the Cybertruck brings over airplane companies, doctors, lawyers, and you have to put your mindset in, why am I wearing Tommy Hilfiger or Jordans? If you really want to get a client, you have to walk through the mall and people have to stare at you, but like, what is that? And some people, they feel uncomfortable. How you gonna get a client if you don't stand out of the crowd? So you rather wear a Nike jersey. You're like, I have no clients. But if you put an AI thing, you're the SEO expert. Like you put, plumbers, they always get jobs because they say like, I'm a plumber. Just because you do AI or SEO or reviews, I'll get you 1,000 reviews on Google. You have to be like, holy crap, how? Let them stop you. People actually tell me to slow down and talk to me. Some people, like all around me, like it's. I had this. I was eating Chick-fil-A. This guy put his head inside. He said, "Let me check this car out." So what do you do for a living? And I was like, "What do you do for a living?" I want to
Mm.
start a security company. I was like, "Let's exchange information." So you want more clients, you have to. try it. Just try it even for a week. It's gonna feel uncomfortable. Anyway, sorry.
It's interesting, right? So there's different ways, right? So you've picked something that would honestly seem so obvious to most people,
Mm.
but there's very few people who are willing to do what you've done.
Yeah.
Meaning to us as marketers, maybe we've come across certain individuals who are standoutish, right?
Mm.
But very few. Like there's not very many remarkable individuals that are out there. Not in our space, right? Even if you think about like the top guys,
Mm.
they don't do this, right?
No, no,
Right?
no.
And the funny part about that is that look, there's ways to do what you're doing, um, both loud and soft, right? And what fascinates me the most about this is because you've done this and you've sort of been the first one in
Mm.
to, I think, really start to put some interest. And I'll say that because it's probably what you run into all the time,
Mm.
which is what's the solve for most people? And the solve for most people is progress. Because if they're making progress
Mhm.
on something, again, it could be a relationship, a business, or it could be, in our case, some getting better marketing. I'm curious in what you think about that. What do you think when people see you? What are they expecting from you? What are they looking to do?
What do you mean?
Well, so someone says, as you mentioned, they stick their head in your car.
Yeah,
What are you doing? Who are you? Why
yeah.
do you have to drive this car with all this noise on the outside of it trying to explain something? What my question is, what are they looking for when they're communicating with you?
They're looking for the genie in the bottle. How can they buy their own? They
Ah,
ask me, how could you afford this?
ah,
And the always is, are you selling something that can make you the money while you sleep? Right? It's not hard. Everybody asks like, how could you buy this car? The car gets you more clients. Even the car is just one part. Like even somebody says you made it.
mhm.
I did. I lived a normal life. I didn't have to wear this pink shirt. I didn't have to do anything. But you had to go different levels up. You could do it for your original car. Just start with a t-shirt. Start with you had to be the loudest person in the room where everybody looks at you. Even I was in Cali and I told my friend, "Hey, I'm gonna wear a pink shirt." He's like, "That's too loud. You're gonna really stand out." I wore it. They said, "Mitch, that's you." Like they I was like, "That's you. That's you with the pink." Like you had to be the loudest one. And I walked in, and everyone's like, "Mitch," and I was like, "What? Who am I? I'm nobody." But you be so loud in social media. I post 24 times a day of little stuff about advice. I You have to show advice everywhere. You have to be in front of them. It's like the Truman Show. You have to be in front of them like they're always watching you.
Mm. Well, a lot of people like to keep themselves to some degree private because they don't want to necessarily, let's say, create tension.
Sure.
Right? There's a lot of haters out there. Right? Once you get success, right? What
Mhm.
most people do, and it's very interesting. As I'm watching this evolve around me, as I post things about certain success stories, and I watch people who respond back. And the first people who respond back typically are people who don't have what you have,
Yeah.
and they're very jealous and they become spiteful. And I've noticed this as a trend in social media because what it allows them to do is um, and I don't mean this in a mean way for anybody who's now typing a negative response to this video. So go right ahead. But what it does mean is that there's an unfulfilled desire, and I almost feel like people who are desireless, meaning that there's no need to create um, an activity unless you are you have some sort of desire. And the people who respond in a negative fashion typically are those people who have got a missing desire that they haven't completed yet. And I've almost found like the people who are neutral or better, who don't need to interact and don't have a let's say a dog in the fight, are typically the smartest ones because they know that they're going to be completely fine one way or the other. They're so confident. And I think this is what I was trying to get at with what I was going to tell you is that I think there's a confidence issue in our society
Mm.
because people have got they're secure to some degree, but then there are the people who are again the ones who are negative who are showing that they're really not confident. Like they wouldn't have negative responses because they'd be confident to know that that didn't do anything, right? So at the end of the day, I think the confidence factor of what we're trying to tell people, and what I'm trying to do as a general business person who's been doing this for a lot of years. I'm an older guy, and of course, you have to have confidence to be on stage. As you know, this from the stuff behind me. Obviously, I have to go out and be on stage in front of people, and there's another confidence layer there, but that's a different animal. But I think that's why I think you are doing something that's important, which is you're showing confidence in yourself,
Mm.
and that's why I wanted to bring this whole thing forward about why it's important to put these events together, is
Yeah.
to give people confidence in themselves.
Yeah. I do want to just like I would take off my shirt and take off my hat and take off not all my clothes, Matt, but um you gotta you gotta just be confident in creating an ad. Be confident in running SEO, running being confident in doing anything for um a client. So some people are just so worried and if something goes wrong. Like I have so many calls that somebody's like, oh, everything's going wrong. So much confidence that if two ads accounts went wrong tomorrow, we're gonna find 10 different solutions to do ads on Craigslist, on LinkedIn, on Bing, because these ads got shut down. And some people just tap out and they don't care. And that's really the big difference. If you want to be a business owner, you want to get leads, you want to get somebody, you're scared to call, the confidence has to grow from getting one account to 10 accounts and forget about the cars, forget about wearing this. You have to feel confident even to do a podcast with somebody. You don't think I'm uncomfortable right now. I'm uncomfortable even going into different rooms. Like I am so shy. I am scared all the time of something that's what am I going to say? But at least I'm putting myself out there and opportunities always happen. Like I don't know these other 12 events what's going to happen. I didn't know what's going to happen in California. And I was like, why the hell am I here? Why the hell am I here? And everybody's like, I'm so glad you came because I need to do this with you. And it's just the confidence of trying. If you want a girl, you know, what's the confidence of messaging 100 girls on Instagram saying, "Are you single?" What's the confidence of saying on a comment? A lot of people they don't comment. I put fire emojis, and you have to be the one that stands out of the crowd that people they recognize you.
So, two questions, and then we'll get into sort of what we wanted to talk about getting people together and stuff like that.
Sure.
Um, I understand that people do really gravitate towards AI today,
Hmm.
and you've got your AI agent Lola.
Yes. Yeah.
What what's the perception? What are people when they speak with you? Because obviously it's a big unknown for a lot of people. They don't understand AI. Most people don't realize that it's as we know what the function is for it. But what do people think when they're talking to you and they're getting engaged with your um, avatar that you've now created on your environment and your shirt and your hat and your car, and now they're kind of coming to you saying, okay, now what's happening, what's this going to do, right?
Yeah. So I would just say there's two. The first part of the question is the character, and the second part is what AI does. So,
Right.
first part is there's so many people who create an AI character that it looks like a simple robot. And if
Mhm.
anybody has a simple robot, I appreciate your robot. I respect. I don't want to be offensive. Please don't comment below. Screw
I
this.
haven't laughed this loud about this because it's so funny how it's so true. It's just
Yeah.
good. You
So
start the commenting from here.
yeah, comment below if you think Lola looks beautiful, ugly, if you would love to date her. There's uh, I'll send out these sweaters. Actually, we do send out sweaters to our community. So what we do is so the character is Lola is you have. I was sitting in bed. Who's my ideal girl? Who's my ideal girl? This has happened 2 years ago when Kim Kardashian had her hair silver. That was a beautiful thing. I put in the prompt having a girl with red lips and being Hispanic. After the third prompt, that was it. That was it.
Right.
And if you have a dentist's office, create a little tooth icon.
Right.
If you have a pharmacy, put a little jacket on a person, and that's your character. Like the Matrix is like when you saw the Matrix, the movie, when there's a bunch of agents and then there's one girl, the red dress that moves, and you stare at the girl. You have to create the avatar that stares, and everybody wants Lola just because of her. You don't even know what she does.
Correct. That's what I'm curious and what people are expecting from this experience, right?
They sign up. I had people signing up. Somebody signed up yesterday from the UK. He just signed up just to have her. I was like, you know, so I was like, I need to probably increase the price now. So the second part is AI has always been around for GPS. When you do misspellings,
Of
that's AI.
course.
Nobody really thinks about it, and AI is all around when we log in, when we do everything. So um, AI is like there's different parts of AI. It's like what's the question and what's the dynamic answer. That it's really simple. AI is getting more advanced, where Lola actually, and everybody's seen it. Lola actually controls the mouse and the keyboard within the desktop. We're getting to that point where you could sit back and spend more time with your kids, and Lola automatically likes everybody's stories. So if you're following me on Instagram and you see somebody liking your story, that's not me, that's Lola. And it's just you have to always be in top of mind of with people. So the automation of doing something over and over again, that's AI. Whatever your imagination is, that's AI. Is it to create something, a prompt? That's AI.
Right. For sure. And I think that why it's interesting is that you've captured people's attention and their imagination at the same time, which is there's a history of good marketing brands creating intrigue
Mm,
on their brand. So take that as a lesson if you're watching this about what we've seen here, which is some ways to engage with people at a different hierarchy in their brain as opposed to logistics.
mhm,
They're thinking about something other than trying to put, I guess you could say, one and one together. They're trying to figure out what one plus an unequal number is, right? Which is it comes out to some equation that they can't solve, and you're solving it by using AI, which is kind of interesting. But
mhm,
the other thing that's cool about this is that you're doing it from a perspective of opening up people's mindsets to not be afraid. And I think that's the thing about the robot discussion.
mhm,
Nobody wants a robot. Unfortunately, we've decided as a general characteristic that AI is supposed to look like a robot. But if it looked like what you have on your shirt today, a lot of people would say, you know what? Why don't I give it a try? And I
yeah.
think you've broken a barrier by accident there from 6 months ago when you basically said, what is this prompt I should have? And then all of a sudden it spit out this figure, and you're like, all right, that's it. And now you get orders.
I would say one last thing before we jump into the network, what we're going to discuss. But you go to an event and one person says, "Did you know you could use this automation tool to move this mouse and keyboard?" And I was like, "All right, thanks. I'm leaving." Right? So you're like, "All right, bye." Those golden nuggets is sitting in a room and somebody figures out your prop. Like again, I created her 2 years ago and she was just images on my computer. And then almost a year and a half later, I figure out a tool that combines with a character. So
It's great. It's it's what I would call the accidental ambassador to
mm,
helping people understand things without them feeling threatened. And
mm.
that's a cool thing. So you've done something amazing and remarkable, which I appreciate and I applaud. And I don't see that often happening. So you are definitely a unicorn. Speaking
Matt,
of unicorns,
Matt, you're a unicorn with the community, with everybody. Who is this musician person? But he's also successful with agency accounts, with helping out so many business owners from enterprise, from small businesses. So everybody thinks about, okay, Matt, if they look at you as one side as, okay, he's a successful business owner, and then when you play music, you're like, who is this guy? And I love to see, like, that character as well, because some people, you think that you have to just dress up in a tie and be ashamed of your background, or be ashamed of, if you like to play music and you don't show it. I bet there's so many people that do that. And you're not born into a world to wear a tie or be ashamed of anything that you do. So I applaud to you to shine of what you love to do as well. And you're a businessman, but also you're very creative. So everybody should be inspired by you, by your success as well.
Well, I appreciate that. I also think there's a hemisphere, right brain, left brain thing that goes on too, which most people understand. If you're creatively successful, meaning that, I've been able to do things, and thank you for your comments, but I've been able to do things in the left brain as well as the right brain. And it makes me think, and I think this is why it's interesting for some people. Of course, I have these conversations, but they go, "Well, wait a minute. Like, there's an element of completion of task, meaning being able. And of course, as you know, I've warmed up for all these Southern rock acts, and I played big stages and festivals in this region.
Yeah.
So there's a completion story there as well, which is that if someone can complete an act and be creative, you sort of have an idea that they have the capabilities to maybe create for you, which
Yes.
is an interesting thing to think about. And I think most of the time that where I'm engaged with people who are interested in the music side of my life, um, they they're more interested in the fact that that was done, and they're stymied by the fact that they realize there's other things that they could be doing outside of their business that they could complete. That there are ways and pathways to do multiple endeavors, right, which are successful and also enjoyable, to some degree. And as you said, you don't just have to dress in a suit and sit in a chair and be rewarded for just your income. You should be rewarded for what you accomplish
Yes.
in multiple fronts. So, speaking of which, we have now, you're starting to do your networking events. We've talked about this. Tell
Yeah.
me a little bit more about what you're thinking, and we can tell everybody what's going on. And of course, these things are just being developed because we basically said, let's just get on a call and talk about it.
Yeah. But by the way, it actually develop what's happening, right? Where we're actually setting up dates. So look forward to it, because stay tuned with Matt. He has incredible things along with me. But so I started with going to networking events, and I said, you know what? Let me just have my own networking event. And I booked out a room in New York City, and I said, let me bring a bunch of Eventbrite people.
Right.
Eventbrite is 50, sorry, is $0, and you just bring other business owners to come in, and I rented out a room. It was 60 people came in. It was just so good just to like speak, and I was like, oh, this is great practicing. And then I realized, was like, everyone was like, thank you so much for hosting this and sharing knowledge. And then what I started to do was, in the Go High Level community, I said I want to bring locals, and I started with 5 people. The first day I rented out a room in Marlton, and people drove all around. And the second event, from the first day, people came, more people came, so it's 10 people, and then more people came on the third day, which was Friday. They came from Delaware, they came from Pennsylvania, all over the place. And 15, like on the third day. And then they said, when is the next day? And I said, wait. Um, I I don't have that much space in my house. Like, this is really blowing up, because people, they're starting to come. From the previous days, they're bringing their friends. I see bringing their friends. So I could definitely see a trend of people coming together. But the one thing I hear all the time is, thanks, Mitch, for getting us out. And there's nothing like being in person and collaborating with one another. And everybody's stuck in the house. And if you feel like you're not, you got to just try going to one outing, and you're going to feel like, I got to do this more and more. So just, you got to, like, for me, when I go out the house, I'm like, I pull myself sometimes, just to,
Yep.
like, because if you don't do that, you're going to stay home. Like, for me, I wake up, I'm like, time to go out the house. I can literally go like that. It's like I have to go out the house. So based on that, saying that, Matt, what's the next vision of like networking, and what's your vision of networking? And by the way, we're both from New Jersey. I mean, if you're from New York City, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, Delaware, we're right there, right? So what's your vision to all of this, Matt?
Right. So we have similar visions, maybe a little bit different stream types, right? So my stream has been I would like to have a regionally based focused event that would be substantial enough to be recognized by especially high level, since we're very much in bed with the technology and intertwined with the community, so that we're recognized as a place for people to hang their hat as a community. And uh, for me, I would rather have a quarterly sizable event that would attract people who are of substantial nature, that are filtered to a degree that they bring the entire community up a whole hell of a lot of a notch,
Yeah.
and that the community would be being educated on not just high level stuff, but being educated on business strategy from higher level functions that relate to, I think, some of the things that I'm starting to witness, which is high level being integrated within mid markets, and also opportunities that are sizable, so that people realize that beyond the small business and the agency business that we're typically in, there's a lot more to meet the road, where the Salesforces, the HubSpots, and the larger companies that are out there today, which we know can easily be replaced by most of what high level does, is to look at some of these things that are happening and to understand those business models, so that there's more opportunity for people to realize sizable business events that could happen if they want to, go down this path, but also not to disregard some of the larger SaaS agencies that are out there who have built a big, solid base of customers that have a good, solid understanding of business principles, that want to increase their education and want to network. So that was my thought process. But I know that, as well as you, I mean, there's a lot more that you're doing on a regional basis, on a more consistent, you know, repertoire of having it more weekly, which I think is great. I think both of those can work in conjunction, and I think they both have their place, and they both have their own agendas too, which is why I would, probably lean more towards you for saying, "Hey, next week, what's going on?" Right, and you could say, "Hey, I've got something Friday, and here's where we're going to go." And
Yeah.
of course, these could be subjective. Everybody's done networking events, if most people have,
Yeah.
but these are very specific, right? So maybe, again, that was my model, and that's what I'm planning on doing, which will come up shortly. We're now 2025, just changing the corner to February, which I plan to get this done within the next 60 days. But you've got now stuff that you would like to do for a weekly basis, that you'd like to find places, and of course, I certainly want to attend as much as I can from my schedule. But maybe you tell us a little bit about what you're doing, and then we can wrap this up.
Yeah, well, let me just add to what you said with enterprise. A lot of businesses who are not in Go High Level want to know about Go High Level or improve their Go High Level. A lot of businesses, they're even just to come to events and see how to improve your workflows. Like I see people always like, "Oh, Mitch, you should put this thing in there. You should put if this and that," and then the business grows, right? So you could enterprise businesses and also mid-tier businesses. But what I do on a weekly basis, Fridays at 1 o'clock, I have a Zoom call where everybody jumps in. It's about 70, 100 people in there, and we all get together. But one thing I did figure out is when I had 70 people on the call, I had only 5 people in the room. I said, "Hey, you guys could talk amongst yourself." And then I closed the thing. The 5 people in the room was way more impactful than the 70 people. So many people had over 100 accounts, and we did so much different businesses where we intertwined, where somebody was cold calling, they did sales, and I did PPC. And I was like, wow, 5 people versus 70 people. So you guys are invited to join the Zoom calls. You guys could follow me on social media, and you guys could see all my content and join the weekly calls. But in person, now we're talking to people who want to fly out just to even join one of these. What is so special about in person? I promise you, if you try one in person with us, it's the most value you're ever going to receive. I promise you. instead of like when you do the weekly, but you need to go to these bigger events to really speak. You know, you need the massive networking as well, but the weekly is really going to help you out. I could only do it for so much longer because it's all free. But one thing I do promise you, you're going to get so much value. And I'm being so consistent because only one person showed up one time, two people, 30 people, and I'm up to like 70 to 100 people now. And it's just being consistent. If you want to, do those networking calls, I promise you, it's a lot of work. I promise you, join mine and where we're going to all get together.
Good. So I'll link to these events in the bottom of this video, or to obviously connect with Mitch. You have your socials, and again, just look for the bright pink shirt. And as far as the stuff that we're doing, we'll start to culminate that shortly, and hopefully, as you have experienced, that the people who really can get value from this just need to be participatory, and then they can really start to engage with you and with other people who are at the light-sided minds that are engaged in getting themselves progressing,
Yeah.
more confident, being able to understand that this is a journey that we're all on, and that there doesn't need to be, as you said, sitting at the desk all the time. Pull yourself out and be part of the show.
One thing, if you do see me in person, just go like this. It means that you pull yourself out of the room, that dark room, that thing of you wanted to be asleep all day. You pulled yourself out. And that's how I know you watch towards this end of this video. It's really helped you out. And once you go like this, unbelievable things is going to happen. Like if you go to try different events, a free event, if you go to a paid event, just go like that. Just pull yourself out of that dark space of saying, nah, I don't think it's going to work. Just try it out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Mitch, thank you so much.
Thank you, Matt.
We
This is
will.
amazing.
I'm sure we will continue our dialogue shortly. Take care.
All right. Thank you.